About 24 hours has passed, and unfortunately the Twins lost in extra innings for the third time in this young season. They've only lost 3 games, and they've all been in extra innings, and it's not gone well if they've gone to extra innings. But they've won every other game, so playing pretty well. It was a fun day with the kids. A little chilly. I had 5 layers on, 4 or 5 layers on. We forgot a blanket though for our lower legs and stuff, and there's a little bit of wind that came in once in a while. Hardly a bad seat though in the new Twins ball field, Target Field. Super fun to go see a game if you like baseball. Here we go. We have all our trees. We have the maple. We have the pines. We have the deciduous trees. Yes, we are going to go ahead and put this forest together. Okay, so let's get started. I've got the blue tape already down. I've got that sheetrock tape covering up the drain holes. I got a little layer of soil on here already. The wires are all in place, but we have to go ahead and put these trees in a resemblance of where we think we might want them. And then if you recall, we have to do a little bit more root work and make these trees ready to put in. Okay, I've got the trees out of their wrapped up situation. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to place these where we think we might want them. They're going to be all the way towards the back. You're looking at the front of the planting. Here's our twin trunk right here. Possibly an image of looking like 2 trees once everything's in place. Upon first glance, I have a forest that's going like that. I don't want that. If this is truly going to be the tallest one, perhaps it goes right here in the middle. Although I haven't, again, gotten rid of all the soil maybe that I want to get rid of. That's a real nice big tree. Maybe we put these 2 off to one side, and this is the double trunk, right? We can maybe get some guy wire action, maybe put a cork in there, a piece of wood to make this start to grow like this, and it'll grow more up straight tall this year. So now we just have a nice conical shape of the whole forest. Again, it looks a little contrived. Perhaps the big guy stands alone, and the 2 little ones off to the side. With this extra trunk here, boom, 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 and then boom. Maybe that looks a little bit better. Yeah, I like that better already. And as I mentioned maybe before on the preparation part of the video, this right here is it splits down halfway through the trunk. It splits down pretty good. This almost looks like it's another tree out here, right? Like a little tree in the background. What if I twist it like this and we develop that into what could be a branch that bends out a little bit and then grows up? We can kind of leave some of those branches on this year to kind of see what happens. We'll maybe move it just a little bit closer to these 2 trees, because then we're going to have a maple. And where's the maple going to go? Maybe just up in front of this tree. Not back parallel with it, but over here. And it's going to be a nice tree that's going to gain a lot of nice color. And then again, if one of these trees back here grows up to be a potential background looking tree with all the foliage here, you might be fooled a little bit. Of course, down low you wouldn't be fooled. The challenge of making a forest or any bonsai tree, one of the many challenges, is having flow. So right now, is our eye going to start here and then go this way, or is it going to start here and go that way? Usually with some of the basics elements of design, usually bigger goes down to lower, so you might start in this corner. Plus in the fall, when this is a red color maple, that might pop and really see our eyes, and it might go this way as well. So if the tree's all a little bit shorter on this side, that's not too bad. I like that it's a little taller here than here, so again, we don't just have a slant. I don't want to make it totally symmetrical, like that. And that's why I like this second growth right here. I could even twist this around. So we have going down and up and then back down. That doesn't look so bad either. This height over here kind of borders the whole picture to bring it all into the center maybe. But perhaps it just doesn't look as good. So this is where I have to start doing a live stream with you guys and see if you guys can give me some pointers along the way. I think that flows better. I think if we have these two a little closer together, with a little gap here, and then this tree that could bush out into a real big monster. And then if we get a nice tree right here in the middle to fill up this negative space, we get one of our thicker poplars here, one of our thicker poplars here, and then fill out the rest of them in there. So I like that right there. So let's get these pines in first. I mentioned as I was getting these trees ready that there was a tighter, compact section of roots after all the big long roots I cut off. And so I'm starting to find out as I tease more of the dirt away that yeah, there's absolutely some roots that are actually going around the tree. So I want to make sure I ungirdle them, if you will. You bring them around so they're free, and so they're going to be able to breathe a lot better. And make sure they don't snuff anything out, you know, and make sure that nothing is going to be dying because of suffocation because these roots just wrap around and kill them off. So a little bit more teasing here. I got another 1/4 of an inch down on this Nebari, but again, this is a background tree. It's not going to be in the foreground, but I still want to make sure that this has optimal health. I want to make sure this is going to grow well and it's not going to hurt itself by having roots strangle it. So look, I can even pull this apart right here. Probably hard to see on the camera, but I can pull that apart. There's still roots that are just kind of hugging the base of this tree, and eventually we're going to want to get rid of that. Maybe it'll be the next planting, but as you make a forest planting and these trees start to grow together, it's harder and harder the older they get, kind of like the Siberian elm forest that I worked on a couple weeks back. That thing had been growing there for 3 years, and those roots were all tangled everywhere. Can't see this, but I got a big old flat branch that I think I cut off that grew way from the bottom of the trunk. And here's one I snipped off. I didn't get very close, so we're gonna get that one nice and close. So we added about another 1/4 to a 1/2 inch on this Nebari. So we're gonna put this aside, and we're gonna trim some of the dangling roots now that I just created. And I did feel on this tree a bit of there's a thick one right there, kind of a taproot type guy. So we'll get that off there. So this might come off in the next planting, but there's a big old root that looks like it curves underneath here. You can see maybe the white now that I've exposed with some of those bigger roots. So again, I want to make sure that all of these trees individually have the best chance to survive. So I'm going to tread lightly on how much I cut off. I think I can get a little bit more of this guy off right here. Yeah, there we go. We got a big chunk down here. So we got a big ball right there. We'll deal with that maybe the next time we repot. It's time to put the first tree in. I'm going to get my mound of dirt, take a look at my ties, and I do want to put a maple up here, right? We're going to put a maple up here, and the front of that tree again. I got these two big side pieces that I want to kind of cling to. I think this way is going to be the best. I'll step back and take a peek. Where I have these trees over here together, I think I have this one over more. So we're going to put our mound here on this side of the wire, because I have a wire coming up right here. I'm going to get a little more soil so we can shove it around as we need it. And go right about there. And then this is going to come across to this guy right here. Now I have a big root, a set of roots here that again was twisting around. So we're going to go underneath that set of roots so I don't hurt those roots. And we'll get our first little twist here and see if that's kind of where I want it. I think that's going to give me enough room for this maple to do some stuff on the outside of the forest. And if I get two trees over here, with a little tiny gap here, I got the gap back here, I think I like that where it ended up. I'm okay with that. So, we're going to have to tie that one down, and move on. It looks like the wire's going to fall off the front. So we're actually going to undo this and bring it around from the other side. I put a lot of work into this forest already. I don't want to rush this. And it appears to me that this root system is going to be much better if I go this way. Oh yeah, that's going to hold the tree in much better. Now I'm going to cut it shorter, find my position, and then do my twisting. Nothing more powerful than the erosion powers of water. So I got my water to kind of get rid of some of these surface roots and all the dirt around this surface root area so I could see what I got with this tree. And what I'm discovering, this has a really big root that came back up and is wrapping around the tree. Not completely. We'll be able to fix it. I don't know if I should dare fix it this year, but I can go down here and get some of this muck out of here at the bottom, some of the bigger roots. And now I'll show you. So this one goes way around, it's still got roots tucked into the mass. There we go, I just pulled that out, there we go. So that, I can make shorter, I can just kind of keep this in the planting for now. But right here in the back, this root comes up from the bottom and then splits this way to go around the tree, and one side comes over this way. So if I try to tease it away a little bit, there, I teased it away and broke another root in the process, but that's okay, not a major one. But now look, see, this thing is, you see that size of that root? I can kind of bring that down a little more. Make sure these are going down away from the tree. We might be able to get more of that moved the next repotting. It's kind of an interesting feature. I'll be curious to see how that develops over the course of this forest planting. Very cool tree to be a multi-trunk pine tree if I kept this one all to myself outside of the forest structure. Go ahead, give it a little bit tighter spin, and then come back and take a look at it. Okay. Looks like it's leaning a little bit too much forward. There we go. We do like the trees to be a little forward, but that was a little bit too much. And part of that lean is because of me tightening it down. There we go. And I have another wire from back here that I could make it a little bit more secure, but I'm going to wait to see what my other trees will need. That one's done. Get all these roots to flare out, and the soil will come up and cover that. A little bit of moisture. Alright, so that leaves this big bad boy. I've got this low branch that I might just cut off. This thing is a real bushy center. A little wider bottom, but I can certainly twist this around a little bit. And we'll start getting tree number 3 in. So I've got some water on this root system. Look, it just came off. Woo, that's a little scary. It's a big root. So we're not going to mess with this anymore. We're not going to take any more roots off. We're going to get this one in our spot and make it happen. The next tree we're going to put in is the maple tree. So as I got this free tree from the Viburnum collection, I had all the roots on there, knew they were there. I knew we didn't have a whole lot of cleaning to do. So this has got a lot of airy root space. I just got to get the right angle, cut off a few of these bottom roots if I can to make it a little bit more flat. So some of these roots come from high up, so at first there'll be probably a little bit of aerial roots, but I just want to make sure that this stays alive. We're going to cut the tap right here. Make it that much smaller. We got some roots here that are just too long. They're going to be growing in the forest and tangling up with so many other roots. I'm just going to cut some off there. There we go. Okay, so we probably want some movement over to your right, my left. I did want it a little bit closer to the front from the back pine tree, so it's not lined up like it was symmetrically, perfectly lined up back there. So something like that. I can put this here to hold it. Need one of my rocks. This might be a place for a rock in my forest. I think we still have to go forward with it. Right in here. Spread these roots around. We get it up a little bit closer. There are not a ton of roots to hold this thing in. So there might be some rocks in my future right here. Look at that right there. Hard to see on the camera, but this root grows right over this rock right here. It's bent right here. There's some roots hugging it in the back. I can hug them some more. I think we're going to like that. And again, I don't have a lot of roots to tie this down on that rock. Look at that. A little closer for you there. So we have this really nice rock right here that moves this way, and this tree bends, goes up and bends over a little bit, then grows back up, and this root's going to come right out in the front of the rock. And we'll make sure that we secure that down real nice. Get some rock soil in there now just to kind of hold it in place better. We'll get some sphagnum moss on this, and we'll worry more about the how much rock is exposed in the next planting. So there we have our 3 pine trees in the back. The maple is on the right side now, and perspective-wise, that doesn't match up quite yet until I do some thinning out of those back pine trees, but we have phase 1. The back row is kind of done. We might get a small tree in that back right section, a couple of whips or something, a couple of suckers, maybe even a couple of those extra Siberian elms I had. I could put them back to the right of that right pine tree and behind the maple. So we'll see if we have some extra of those that we can put in this forest. Time for a little lunch break, a little breather here from the trees. I'll get a little water on all those roots, go have a quick sandwich, and we'll be back for the rest of the forest. The 3 pine trees are in place. The maple is in place. I have a sandwich in my belly. It is time to look at our other trees. So I'm going to carefully take these out of the bags here, because we had a couple towards the top with multiple, or a couple of suckers on there. Trees are all good and moist because of the paper towels. It did its job. Here's our twin trunk. So we do have a bit of a cold spell coming tomorrow night, Monday into Tuesday. We're going to hit a low of 30. So these will stay in the garage for the rest of this week because we have low 30s for the next week. I want to make sure these roots are fine and we're not stressing out any of this new growth up here on the maple. So there I just took all the trees out of the paper towel and it looks like a big old snarled mess, doesn't it? Which is what I completely expected. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trees, but we've got a sucker right here. A little tiny sucker in the back here. We got this sucker right here, and who knows what will happen on these other side trees. My question again still is going to be can we put something back in here? A couple of little ones. I might put my Siberian elms back there to fill up the forest with more Minnesota trees that are grown in Minnesota. So this has a whole bunch of movement, of course. So this will be the hardest one to place. I think it's going to have to be close to this edge. Like it's leaning out of the forest a little bit. Back in here. Got to make sure all the roots fit in the pot. Make sure I have a place to tie down. And this guy could come maybe over here. Got this really interesting movement. I could put a rock under here so it came growing and shot over the rock for some reason. There is a really small bud right here. I'm going to be careful not to break that. And then I got this guy I can put right here next to it. Pretty straight, but also some movement. Right? Then I've got this twin trunk person here. I can put that right here. Maybe up in the front a little bit more. And put this one in the back. Let's put this one back here, and this one in the front. Now these trees are leaning that way, which can be changed later, of course, with wire of some sort. But if I get some soil under here, I can put these right there and there. This is my thickest one with this one. Remember, I wanted something in the front here that's nice and thick. I like this real dominant looking bendable one here. So if this stays right here in the corner of this, and I have these two trees behind it with some more movement, that fills in that void back there. And who knows why these trees grew this wild and wicked, but they're trying to reach up for the sun. And then we have this other T-bar growth pattern that I can put anywhere. And again, I think this one should be up here by this maple tree as another counterbalance to this pine tree up here. So at first glance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus this guy sucker 10. I've got 10. I've got room for a couple more. I could put another one here. I could put another one here. I could put one in the back. Let me step back and take a peek at this. It's kind of looking like a forest. I think I do like this curved one back here. This brings some nice element to this left side of this planting. And again, if I can get a rock underneath there, I have an idea for a rock section over there. It could be kind of cool. And this one just growing up behind it. I like that. I think I'm going to put those two trees in first, and then this sucker we'll just place with a rock or something so this one can grow. This one can bend down and go anywhere I want it to grow. And then we'll get that guy back in there. So that's my first two. But then I have this big pocket right here. Now all the roots are over here for this tree, so I don't know if I can put another little sucker in there. But that might be where one of the Siberian elms can grow, which I think I might try. Put one of my itty bitty ones in there. So let's put those two in first. This will be the hardest one to plant because it's just so lopsided, so I have to wait till I can get some soil in there and position it right. And I do like this great big tree right here in the gap. It's right in the gap here between these two trees. This gap right here is filled up with this tree right there, so I like that there. So this is coming out. And this is coming out. This will go in later. I'm going to put those two in. This one's kind of hidden back here now, so either I have to move this one. This could be a nice actually candidate for right over here by all these curvy trees. They're all growing that way for a reason. Maybe I tuck these two more together, because why are they both growing that way? Maybe that's too symmetrical though. I like this tall tree right back there. Yeah, that's okay. If I get this sucker to grow here and put a Siberian elm that's straight up right here, I got all the crooked stuff and some straight stuff. This one will be right here. Then I've got those other plantings I can move to the other side. So that'll be later. Maybe cut some of that root off. So we're going to put those three trees in first. Kind of blocking this though. It's a little bit too blocking my curve. So what if I bring it this way more? And have it go that way. Just maneuvering the rock a little bit to get that placement. We've got that growing now right between these two trees. Put some soil there and see if I like that tree. Having a tough time figuring out this. Now it looks like all the trees are leaning to the left. Everything's leaning to the left. This one leans to the left. This one leans to the left. This one leans to the left. This one's straight up. So this one's going to have to be straight. This one we're going to have to manipulate so it looks more straight. And we can do that with the soil and the tie down. And then this one I'm going to have to make straight. And this could be chopped right here so it grows more straight up too. right here. We're going to make that go straight up with a chop. Maybe not this year. And this guy will be chopped too, probably down here. So hopefully it goes more straight up. I don't think this branch is going to be viable. There's one right down here with that bud down here. Hopefully that'll grow up here and we'll split this into a twin little V there. It's just this guy right here. I almost wonder if I move this rock and put this guy right in the back here. Let's go back there and try to snug it in there. Making some good progress on the forest. So got this one a little bit more straight up with that rock. This one's straight up. This one's got the lean, but we'll chop it off here later on. This is the big lean tree, but we'll chop this one probably here. So it curves up and starts to grow straight up now. It's the gap between these two trees. Got this one over here. I put these two small ones back here that were connected as one. The maple is still sitting there in its glory by this rock that's been covered a little bit. I just put this rock right in here, our second big rock. I've got a couple of wires left over, and then I have got some of my little tiny Siberian elms that I'd like to maybe add here. So I got a wire here, and a wire here. I've got a wire back here, and then 3 up here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Siberian elms. Now these were leftovers from my forest planting that I just put in a pot. So I'm not going to disturb any of the roots, just put it into this soil. It's just going from soil to soil. It'll be in the garage. There is growth on this one, this one, this one, and this one. There's growth on all 4. Let's get them in there and see what they do. There's a little more subtlety to that rock. Got this big one jetting out here. This one back here, flat. Rock over here that's now been hidden but by that maple tree. This guy's helping this sucker for right now. This one's holding up that guy. Just enough of a, this is the middle of the forest. We're on a Superior hiking trail. And we got a little end of a forest into a end of a coniferous forest into a deciduous forest. All right. I'm at the end of the line for my sphagnum moss. So I'll go ahead and sprinkle what little I have. To help get that forest floor looking a little bit more like a forest floor. I do need some in the back by the pine trees because I have some exposed roots. We have Minnesota Forest number 2. We've got the soil all in there. The trees are all planted in there. We're going to do just a little bit of trimming. Take a little break here and just kind of peek at it a little bit. What a fun project this was. I love forests. I'm really getting into forests, as you can tell, with my Siberian forest, my tamarack forest. With our deciduous trees, we want to stop pruning them when they start to get this new growth until they harden off. And so we're going to wait with most of this stuff until later. I'll leave this one here because if I take it down, I'll have this gap again here. I'll leave it here for now. Again, we'll cut this one down here. Once this bud here takes off, we get a twin trunk going here. This one will come up here, and we'll see where some buds possibly shoot out. These have the 3 right here, boom, boom, and boom. I'm not going to touch that. This one has one growing back to the pine tree, but it's got these 2 little suckers down here. I could cut this branch off right now, but I think, yeah, let's cut it back to a bud that's facing more inside. And this one I'll just trim those 2 off. I'm going to leave these alone because these were transplanted only about 2 weeks ago. The leaves have started coming out. It'll be in the garage now. The roots have hardly been touched, just put right back into soil. So we're going to leave those alone. This guy right here is growing into the pine tree. Let's just cut this center one off here. So we'll see what this does. And I got 2 buds back here and 2 buds back here. We'll hope that grows. We'll probably cut this guy off and make this the new leader. Let's go ahead and cut that there right now. I'm going to trim this one off right here. Trim this one off right here. Make this one a tad shorter right here. Yeah, this has got some great growth in the center of the tree, so we're going to go ahead and do this right now. Right there. And this wound will heal. Alright, so I got 2 new leaders going up here, this leader here, this one back here. So I got a lot of growth on there. Matter of fact, I'm just going to cut this off right now. And let's just go lower on this one right now. There we go. So we'll let all this forest grow up. This one I'm going to wait, this one I'm going to wait. We'll let this take off first. As far as the pine trees, lots of growth on these guys, and I was going to thin them out a little bit. So I can go ahead and just make a few decisions to make these thinner in the middle. If I make these thinner in the middle and allow more light to get in there. Remember, this one I want to look like almost like a second pine tree. Right here. So I'm going to work to preserve 2 trees if I can get this separated like this a little bit more. It'll start to grow, you know, more straight up. So really the goal at the end of this forest is I want all these to grow up tall, and I want the pine trees to be about this tall, and I want all these to leaf out about here. So when they leaf out every spring, you'll see all the light colored buds against the green evergreen trees here in the back, and then when the leaves come out, then they're yellow in the fall, red with the maple, and then all these forest colors will intermix and it'll be pretty cool. So I want this to grow up taller, not so much wider and thicker, but I want it to be more tall pine trees. So I'll continue to work on the thinness in the coming year. I'll thin this out a little bit more right now before I'm completely finished, but we'll leave this thing to grow now this year and do some more trimming next year. A lot of the pine species don't like a lot of root work and then a lot of work on top. So I don't want to go too crazy with cutting some of these branches off today. I'm also not going to cause any stress and wire any of these branches today. This is still too young, and we're just making this design now and seeing what's going to grow. And so we're not going to worry about the exact shape of this tree right now. That's not the goal anyway. The pine trees, they're kind of that backdrop, as I mentioned before. They're kind of giving us that background look. I will have to be careful when I water this forest because I do have quite a few mounds here. Don't want the water to completely run off the edges, so I'm going to really have to water this good. But because it is a deep enough pot, wide enough pot, water will seep through underneath all the rocks and all the soil if you do give it enough water. So I'm going to leave it there. I think I'm going to call it a day. This was great. This was so much fun working on this forest. I love it. Can't wait to continue to tweak it and trim branches. There we go. Throughout the summer, once these harden off, we'll get some more cuts to these guys. Hopefully they all survive. Hopefully the pine trees will do well. Pines don't like to sit in water as much as some of the other trees in this forest, so I will water the front real heavily and make sure the back is watered as well. But I don't want to make sure these pines sit in water, so I would water the back side of this forest maybe a little bit less than the others. They also will get a little bit less direct sun after the trees grow up a little bit, so they'll be shaded a little bit, and that back part of the soil will not maybe dry off as much. But there we have Minnesota Forest number 2. What a blast. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me for this video. I can't wait to jump in the editing room and start watching this myself. So, gosh, what a fun time. Hey, hit like if you haven't. If you're subscribed, great. Thank you so much. We're pushing towards 700 subscribed members. So appreciative of that. If you haven't told a friend or two about the channel, I'd appreciate it if you did that as well. Thanks for watching. Hey, take care of you. Take care of your bonsai, and I will see you very soon on another episode.